Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Pastor Lee David from the Church House of Bread, and today we're going to be hearing the testimony of a lady named Anita. We're going to hear how the Lord, through his servant, Pastor Isaac Malonga, was able to heal her and to journey with her through her pregnancy, despite challenges of fibroids, excessive bleeding, complications, and emergency surgeries, and how she came out at the end victorious with an incredible testimony.
Hello everyone, my name is Anita and I am a member of House of Bread. I'm here to share my testimony of what God has done in my life, specifically on the issue of pregnancy and having a baby. So fast forward to when I was 11 weeks pregnant, I started bleeding severely. And the situation was very severe to the point where an ambulance had to take me to the emergency at the hospital. When I was at the emergency at the hospital, it was quite a challenging time, to be honest, because I thought I lost the baby. The bleeding was too much that I didn't think that, I could have lost that much blood and still be pregnant. So they did an ultrasound to see what is the status of the pregnancy and what was causing the bleeding. And when they did the ultrasound, by a miracle, I was still pregnant. And the issue that they found was that there was some bleeding inside of my uterus that was still there. And they advised me to have bed rest for 2 weeks because the condition that I had no medicine. There was nothing that they could give me that would fix it. And so the only thing that I could do then was to be on bed rest, complete bed rest, to see whether the bleeding will stop or the situation will improve. So went home and I was on bed rest where I couldn't do anything myself. And 2 weeks passed and I went back to the hospital to see, what was the status. And the condition had not changed. So I was still bleeding and I still had the internal bleed that they could see in the ultrasound. And so at that point, my doctor was very concerned over the potential of a miscarriage. So she advised that I should continue with the bed rest for at least 2 more weeks to see whether the situation will improve.
Anita was diagnosed with fibroids in pregnancy. Fibroids are non-cancerous growth which develop around the womb or the uterus. And they come with complications such as miscarriage, preterm delivery or preterm labor, placenta abruption, which is premature detachment of the placenta that may cause bleeding, fetal malpresentation, this is when the fetus is not in the appropriate position for delivery, fetal deformities, and others. So for Anita, she had a complication of bleeding, and I've mentioned it among the complications, and she was given bed rest. But there is no evidence that bed rest will stop the bleeding, but for the doctor, you have to do something for the patient. So she was given bed rest, but despite the bed rest, she continued having the bleeding.
So I was not in Tanzania at the time, and I was quite afraid over what was going to happen because, this was my first pregnancy and I was away from my family, and just the general recommendations that my doctor had given me from the onset. Because of the fibroids and now the bleeding, she was saying that the best chances was that the pregnancy might progress until 7 months. They're not sure. And even then, by 7 months, they would have to take the baby out. The kind of discussions that I was having with my doctor at this period were very discouraging, because I needed to know what was going to happen, in light of everything that was happening. But I was being advised that, I need to start thinking about going to a country that has like very good NICU facilities, because there is no way I'm gonna make it past 7 months of pregnancy. So in light of this, and because I'm a member of the House of Bread, I have seen the man of God, Pastor Isaac Malonga, heal people in similar situations of fibroids and complications with pregnancy. I knew that if they're telling me medically that there's nothing that can be done, but I knew that I can go and get ministered to in Tanzania, and I knew that there is healing at the House of Bread. I reached out to my doctor and I asked, is it okay for me to travel? And the recommendation was a strict no. Getting on a plane would just make matters worse because I was supposed to be on bed rest. Now, despite what my doctor said, I knew that there was healing in Tanzania. And despite the advice, I flew to Tanzania and went to my church, House of Bread, on 4th of June for ministration. When I was going to church, I wasn't feeling very well. I was in a lot of pain just because of like the nature of the fibroid, like putting pressure on me. And I was also very worried because I was still bleeding, and I'd been bleeding for 2 weeks then. So when I went to church, before going to the front for ministration, I went to the bathroom because I just wanted to go to the bathroom. But my shock was just by being at the presence of God at House of Bread, the bleeding has stopped. And this was before I went to ministration. And it was very shocking to me because I had been bleeding for 2 weeks and I wasn't expecting that, the bleeding would have stopped, but the bleeding had stopped. So I went in front for the ministration, and the man of God, Pastor Isaac Malonga, ministered to me on the 3 things that I was really praying for when I came to Tanzania for ministration. He spoke over the issue of bleeding that had stopped. He spoke healing over the issue of fibroids. And even more importantly, he spoke life over my issue and my ability to have children. I was very stressed out when I came for ministration because this was my first pregnancy, and to be given such findings, like with the bleeding and like the multiple fibroids, I really didn't know that I would have the ability to carry the pregnancy to completion and even just like to have children later on. So the fact that he said that by the same time next year, it was June of 2023, so he said by June 2024, there's gonna be cries in my house of a baby. That was very meaningful to me because I had almost given up.
Man of God, we have a testimony from a lady who came for ministration today. So for the past 3 weeks, she has been kept on bed rest due to excessive bleeding that was bringing weakness, and she has been newly diagnosed with fibroids. The amazing thing she says, as she said through the word, she's feeling energized, and for the first time, she went to check and she's seeing that she's not having that active bleeding.
Oh, come on, people of God. Come on, people of God. Come on, people of God.
Doctor, you're saying she's gone to check?
She was hospitalized for 1 day, and for the past 3 weeks, she has been kept on bed rest, to stay at home on bed rest because of the excessive bleeding and the effects of the bleeding.
You said excessive bleeding.
Yes, excessive bleeding.
And while in this service, she went to check?
She went to check.
And there is no bleeding?
There's no active bleeding.
These are the best you can do for Jesus in this place.
So for the past 3 weeks, I
I couldn't do any physical activity without triggering the bleeding. I was told by my doctor that I needed to continue resting. In fact, up until maybe I'm supposed to be resting and not traveling, don't get on a plane. But I said I can't just be at home when I know that if I come here, something is gonna change.
Hey!
You see, the word was sent to heal
Yes.
them.
Yes.
But also the same word was sent to deliver them.
Yes.
What took place was healing.
Yes.
Now what is taking place there now is deliverance.
Come on, somebody. Man of God, if I may.
Hear me. Right at this place, they are shrinking. That's deliverance.
Hey.
They are shrinking.
Hey.
That's deliverance.
Hey.
They are shrinking.
Hey.
That's deliverance.
Hey.
Healing took place.
Hey.
What did the word deal in terms of healing? The flow of blood was cut. That was healing.
Yes.
Deliverance has to do with being made whole.
Hey.
What is taking place now is deliverance right now. The report that is going to come after this now, they will say, what has happened?
Hey.
We are not seeing them. They are not as big as they used to do.
Hey.
Someone was wise enough to locate the place where the word was sent.
Yes.
But there's also a man of God who has a precise location of where that word landed.
In Jesus' name. No.
My sister, I decree and declare, a time like this, there shall be a cry in your house. A cry.
Hey.
Your house will not be quiet.
So after ministration, I went back to Nairobi. The bleeding stopped. The pain that I was experiencing also stopped as well. And I went back to my usual life. I was out and about. I was no longer on bed rest. I was going to work and I was getting stuff done. And I was just generally really happy. So fast forward to end of June, I started experiencing some pain that I couldn't explain. So I went to see the doctor and she did an ultrasound. And from the ultrasound, she could see that the fibroid that was causing all this discomfort was shrinking, it was degenerating. But in the process of the fibroid degenerating, it was causing me to get contractions. And so because of that, my doctor wanted me to be admitted in the hospital just for a few days so that they can give me some painkillers, which are given through the drip so that I can be more comfortable during the process. I was in the hospital for 2 days. But on the second day, unfortunately, the process that the fibroid was going through with like the shrinking caused an obstruction to both my bladder and my bowel. So that resulted into me losing all functions to empty. And so the situation turned critical in that point. They tried to help me, I was put on a catheter and they were just observing me and seeing whether the situation will improve. But after being in the hospital for 5 days, the situation was not improving. So at that point, they had to cancel me on what the options were because they had advised me that from a medical perspective, not being able to empty, having that kind of obstruction internally could potentially cause long-term damage to me and maybe even death. So at that point, they had to consider what the options were. I was advised that they, initially that it's not possible or it's not advised to remove fibroids when you're pregnant, just because of like the complications that could happen out of it. But because they had no choice at that point, they had to cancel me on what my options were. And so I was basically told that, you know, we are prioritizing your life at this point, and you know, we are going to try to physically move the fibroid internally, and if that doesn't work, then we will just have to open you up and take it out.
So the fibroids were degenerating. Degeneration means the fibroids outweigh the blood supply, and in the process they cause tissue death, and they begin to shrink. So as they shrink, there's also change in position, and this may cause obstruction. And with Anita, she had both bladder outlet obstruction and intestine obstruction. The diagnosis of bladder outlet obstruction, they tried everything. They tried inserting a catheter, which is a tube which is inserted into your bladder to try to drain the urine, but was also not successful, and as well as the intestinal obstruction. And if you don't do anything, it will cause complications such as kidney failure and even death. So they had to make a decision, which was to go in and remove the fibroid which was causing the obstruction. Normally we discourage doing an operation during this time because fibroids cause a lot of bleeding. And now with the pregnancy, there are very high chances of causing miscarriage as well.
So this was a very stressful situation for me and for my family. At that point, they had the head of the gynecology department at that hospital come to speak to me because they wanted me to understand the risks, and they were very honest that they'd never done this procedure, not just at the hospital that I was in, but in the whole of Kenya. So I was very scared. My husband was very worried. You know, he was requesting for me to be evacuated out of Kenya to go to another country that maybe has dealt with this situation medically before. But because of the pain I was under and because of just like how far the complication had gotten, they said that, you know, a medical evacuation would take really long to just like, you know, prepare. And even if I go to South Africa or if I go to Dubai, they would say the same thing in terms of what they were recommending, that the fibroid needed to be removed to save my life. My family had also advised that, you know, the other option might be to just sort of persevere through that period and wait until the baby is maybe 7 months and then take out the baby and hope that the baby might survive, but like on an outside. Now, I was very nervous about that because that means, you know, taking out the baby and, you know, having like a very small baby in a, you know, incubator or tube. And so like both options were very scary options to me. And so at that point, I remember thinking to myself, this is me like lying down and thinking, you know, I had a promise in church. You know, God spoke to me. You know, when the man of God, Pastor Isaac Malonga, told me that by June 2024, I'm going to have cries in my house. So I started doing the math that, okay, if I lose this pregnancy now, it doesn't give me enough time to, you know, heal and get pregnant, that by June 2024, I'm going to have cries in my house. So I remember sitting there and telling God that this is the baby, this is the one. You know, whatever they're telling me here, like this baby has to come out alive. And because of just all the, like the people around me being in a very like stressful situation, I wanted to just hear a word or encouragement from someone who had heard the promise that was given at House of Bread by the man of God, Pastor Isaac Malonga. So I wrote a text message to the woman of God, Pastor Faye Malonga, and I told her about what was happening, and I asked her to pray for me because the situation was getting out of hand. And I remember feeling very much at peace because I knew that there was already a word spoken, like Baba already spoke life over this situation. So they took me to the theater, and the funny thing is, as I was going to the theater, I was smiling to the point where my doctor had to actually ask me that, Anita, do you understand what is currently happening right now? Because it doesn't seem like you understand. And I had to sign documents that, literally asking me that, do you understand the risks? Because the risks that they had told me about was, if they have to do the operation, then, there's a risk that the baby will not make it. And I needed to be okay with that. So when I was going to the theater, they also took me to do an ultrasound, like the final ultrasound, so they can see the positioning of everything. And I remember the ultrasound technician was saying, oh, we can see the gender. Do you want to find out? And I said, yes. But my doctor said, no. She said no, because I think she was very, she's very worried. So I went into the theater, fast forward, I think about 6 or 7 hours later, because it was quite a long surgery. I wake up and I ask, how's the baby? And they say the baby made it. We can't believe it, but the baby made it. And then, I could see that, I was, opened up. I could feel it, that I was opened up, but I was so happy. I was so happy that, God really stood with me in this situation. And, by a miracle, the baby made it. So after the surgery, everybody was completely shocked that, one, the baby survived, and two, that it actually worked. So in the surgery, they removed the biggest fibroid that was causing the problems. And when they were doing ultrasounds to check, they could actually see that the other fibroids were also shrinking, because I had multiple fibroids. So no one could explain what was happening. In fact, I remember in my room, I would have random people coming in every day saying, are you the one? Are you sure the baby's still alive? They would come every day. Are you sure you're not bleeding? Because they expected me to be bleeding. Before the surgery, they had made me sign documents that I accept, to have blood transfusion. They had 2 transfusion, bloods ready, but they said they didn't use any of them. So I was thinking that the ministration on the issue of bleeding carried through even after the surgery, because they kept checking every day. They said, Anita, you must be bleeding. I said, I'm not bleeding. There's no blood. And they said, it's impossible, given what we have done, that you're not bleeding. Because they expected I'll be bleeding. And then so they were checking me every day to see, are you bleeding? How much blood is there? And is the baby still alive? They would listen to the heartbeats every day. And it was really funny, because it almost became a sort of a hospital spectacle, where all these people in the gynecology department would come in and say, oh my God, can we see you? And I was even getting uncomfortable, given how many doctors were coming in to double check about the surgery that worked. But it was only through God. So after everything, I went on to have a healthy pregnancy, given the situation, and also had a very uncomplicated delivery of my baby, and I had a healthy baby, very healthy. She scored super high on everything, despite everything that happened. And I remember that, after everything, I was sitting with my doctor, and she actually was very honest. She said that it was only by a miracle that the baby survived. She had no prior experience of doing this. The hospital had no prior experience of doing this in the country. And so it was only through God's work. And she said that on that evening when they did the procedure, She didn't want me to find out about the gender because she didn't want to get my hopes high, because she didn't know what was going to happen. She thought I was going to lose the baby. And so I'm so grateful to God. I don't think there's been any instance in my life where I have seen God work like this. The healing that happened, the preservation of life that happened. And I'm so grateful to the man of God, Pastor Isaac Malonga, for seeing that. Because if it wasn't for the word that he spoke over me, that there will be cries in my house, and the healing, if it wasn't for the confidence that out of that, I wouldn't have gone ahead with the operation. I would have asked them to terminate and start afresh because it was also difficult. But I'm so, so grateful to God for this opportunity, for life, for enabling me to be a mother, for the healing that has happened, like the freedom from the fibroids that were really weighing me down. It's only through a miracle that I am here today and my daughter is here today.
Wow, what an incredible testimony. From situations the doctors had no answers to a miracle that mystified entire hospitals. Surely the Lord is living and powerful and working through his servants like the man of God, Isaac Malonga. I believe your faith has been taken to another level and you are encouraged by this wonderful testimony. God bless you.